Jason is just preparing us to go live into the Bergen County Partners group. We want to encourage everybody to invite your friends on, as well as our coach, Brad Korn, is getting ready to explode on us. All right, I'm giving them just a few minutes to get their stuff together. Monday, guys, Monday. Okay. Give it a few minutes. All right, so we have to get into better habits of being on time, and on time is what, 5 minutes early, right? Showing up at when it starts, you are already late. We got to get acclimated to our environment, and so we're going to start to have better habits. Better habits. Work in progress. We all are, correct? Nobody's perfect. Oh, Lord Jesus. All right, so while we're waiting, why doesn't somebody tell me something fun they did this weekend? I mean, we got to have fun while we're doing this. We're not here to work, work, work. What's something? Give me one thing that you guys did that was fun.
I have two things that were fun. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I'm in an office. No, I can't. I'm not going to talk.
Anybody else something that fun? You guys have no fun? Michelle, I know you're dying to tell me what you did. Tell me.
I cleaned house. I had no fun this weekend.
You know what? Sometimes we just need that. Sometimes we need to just get our lives organized, right? Make ourselves feel better in our amazing space that we take for granted all the time. You get out of this outside of the United States and you see how other people live. We really need to appreciate our dwellings that we have and take care of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Gary Keller always says we have one place to live. It's actually, you know, inside of our body. We have one place to live. If we don't treat that well, where are we going to live? So did anybody get out there and do some great exercise? Got yourself into a new class? Did an amazing bike ride?
All right, now I got to chime in.
Yeah. You live on the lake.
Yeah, but you said class. Since COVID, I just renewed after not having my gym membership for a year because they didn't have any classes. My wife teaches a yoga class. So I paid the membership and went to class on Saturday. And oh man, how bad my body is a year later, which trickles over to the lake because we bought this disc that we can, like, I could actually get up out of the water on. All I had to do was turn around and grab. I couldn't do it because I've only been to one yoga class. So those together will make life more fun on the lake.
Definitely. Definitely. My husband and I decided to take a bike ride and we went left on the waterfront instead of always right to explore new ways. And we found a pavilion out in the middle of nowhere that we actually visited it again the second day. We got our coffee when we went out there for we didn't catch the sunrise, but we had all great intentions too. And so a great bike ride with your loved one to like some new adventure spots. So that was fun. Javen, you got anything that you did this weekend? Come on, you're young. We have to vicariously live through you. Tell me you did something fun.
Well, I mean, honestly, being new, I've just been working so much, but I do a lot of active things just because, like you said, I'm young, I'm an active person, but nothing like I'd want to share. Just, I played a lot of basketball, ran a couple
basketball,
did some jogs, nothing crazy.
Awesome. Basketball on the grind. Cool. There's pretty Rosemary. I see you. All right, so we're one more thing. Somebody did super fun this last weekend.
We went camping.
Yay, Shelby, did you go camping in New Jersey?
No, we went in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a really cool camping spot right up on the other side of New York, called Beacon Mountain, Maylofts Mountain. Super awesome. You don't even have to actually carry your stuff to your hiking spot. I mean, your campground. You could drop it off with them. They take it too, and then you can hike either a 7-hour, a 2-hour, or a half-hour to your campsite. Super cool. It's also cool because you don't have to bring any of your food. If you want burgers, you could just buy a raw burger from them. And they have like a little raw menu, so you could still be cooking authentically at your campsite. So that's a little drop there. Maylofts Mountain in Beacon, New York. All right, Brad, it is 11:03. I see that we have about 37, 38 on, and they just keep coming. They're definitely not here for me. They're here for you. They're here for you. So I just I'm going to hand it over to Brad. I want to thank everybody for taking this time out to come and meet the coach and understand how this round of Ignite and these sessions will be very different from what you have previously experienced. It's the summer. You know, Brad's a lake guy. You can understand we're Jersey Shore people, New Yorkers. We're out and about. So we wanted to make this a very attainable class for you this summer. And it is just broken down into 1-hour modules. So, but in that, we're looking for somebody who can bring a different spin. I want to introduce this friend of mine. I've known him for all the years that I've been with Keller Williams. Many of you know I've been with KW for 17 years. And I grew up in the company, started when I was 26. And I can honestly say that this company and the environment, the people that I've experienced have helped shape me into the business professional, the woman, the wife, the person that I am today. And so it's through meeting great, wonderful people like Brad Korn and others that we have kind of, accumulated over the years that have kept me on my toes as to moving forward and always wanting better for myself. Brad has been somebody that's completely inspired me. I can honestly say in the last year, I've taken some very bold actions because of words that this man put into my ears last year. And not that I didn't hear things before, it's just in that time, I'm very passionate about the same man doesn't walk in the same waters, because you're not the same man and it's not the same waters. The waters are always moving and you are always changing and growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So I would love to turn it over to our friend Brad Korn, who in the last over almost 30 years of his business has been committed to 100-unit transaction year. Okay, everything that you're about to hear from him, everything that he shares with you is going to be, the goal is to bring 100 transactions into your business, and you can do it so easily by just creating systems. So I'm going to hand it over to Brad. 68 units last year with no assistant. I think it's worthwhile listening to what this man has to say. Brad Korn, if you could just give us a little intro on who you are and how happy you are to be here.
Well, first of all, I got to say, because Marybeth just reminded me of some interview we did. I don't even remember when we did that thing, that YouTube video you sent me. That's when I'm sitting here going, I don't even remember that day, but it was probably one of the best interviews, I think, or like questions that you asked and stuff really brought out the core of what my passion is and why I'm even here with you guys doing this Ignite today from Kansas City. So it really, we'll send that link out. We'll have to get that link out to everybody and just have them watch it, because it really helps you understand the core of this. Isn't just another Ignite class with somebody coming to read the material or teach the material. Guys, my life mission and what Marybeth brought up in that interview was, she said, when I was sitting there, I think you said something like you had done 20 million that year or something, that you had seen me speak at family reunion or something like that. And I mean, that was probably one of my best years. I think we had done 120 some units. Gary had me on stage speaking to me, and guys, in Kansas City, that is like 12 million or 13 million or something. It's like stupid, maybe 15 million in sales. So I, fortunately, being in Kansas City where I am, where the average price point is take a zero off of yours, and that's our average price point. It's like $140,000. I sell $70,000 properties every week in Kansas City. That's how crazy our market is. So the average is 140. And it's to the point where even to get into the luxury group, you guys know we have the luxury division that you have to sell 2 homes for $500,000 within a certain period of time, and you can get into the group. And yeah, you pay a little extra to get the title and the luxury and all that other stuff. Brad Korn cannot get in the luxury group because I can't find 2 $500,000 homes to sell in a period of time that they need. That they don't exist in my market. However, I did list one that should have sold for 425, listed it for 500 and sold it for 475, but not good enough to get in the group. That is luxury for me. So anyway, that's my world. And what I loved about your take on that was, oh my gosh, 120 sales. If I did 120 sales, how much money would you actually make, right?
Yeah.
And how much easier would your life be, and what would your team look like, and all that other stuff. So this round of Ignite is really about getting you guys to believe and understand that it's not the volume, it is the 100 sales a year are sitting right in front of us. And I cannot tell you how many modules that we're going to cover during Ignite that you have 100 deals like that could fall out of the sky. When she said I did 67, I think it was 67 in 18 or 19 and 68 or like something last year. And I was like the number 4 individual in an office of 550 agents. And I totally on purpose went solo the last 2 years to prove that systems can take an agent to 100 sales a year without a big team, because everybody thinks to do 100 sales a year, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this team. And then you got 80% of the people, especially a lot of newer agents that are coming into Ignite. They're like, I don't want to manage a big team. Well, that's what leverage is all about. So I will tell you this, that put it in this perspective, this last 2 years for Brad Korn, how many of you have seen the movie Super Size Me or whatever, where the guy eats McDonald's every day for lunch, breakfast, and dinner? Or I said that backwards, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He eats McDonald's every day for 30 days and he tracks his health through the whole thing, right? That's kind of what I did in the last 2 years. I knew it wasn't going to be fun, and I was doing it to prove that systems can carry an individual agent to 100 sales a year, that you don't need to necessarily start taking on expenses and building a big team right out of the chute, or even when you're selling 30 or 40 homes a year. So today's call, I just kind of wanted to give you guys some concepts and we'll let it roll. And I definitely want you to raise your hand, and we'll figure out how, like, inviting you guys in and making it a conversation. It's not really just a speech. It's to help you start thinking differently. So as I'm saying some of these things and something pops in your head and you're not sure how that relates to you or whatever, man, throw it out there, because as a group, what you're thinking is what probably another 30, 40, 50, 60% of the people on the call are thinking. They were just thinking a little differently, right? So it is. And now I lost my train of thought of what I was talking on there. Do you remember what I was saying, Marybeth?
Well, just make sure that you're involved, like you're actually asking the questions, put your input, use your reactions, throw stuff in the chat if you need to, guys.
Yeah. So when I was building this business and doing it by myself, it was to prove a point that systems can carry you. That's where I was going with it. Here's what I figured out, guys. And if I got 30 years experience, so I'm trying to give that to you to give you an insight on when we say, hindsight is 20/20. Well, I'm giving you the hindsight on what you're building into your real estate business, no matter how long you've been in. Here's what I have figured out through my coaching career. And I should say I have a real estate career. I have a business. That's one of my 7 businesses, right? One of my businesses, my real estate career, sell 100 homes a year. That's the goal. We make about $250,000 net every year off of that. That supports my lifestyle. The coaching is another business that building my business to the, whatever level. I've been to 7 levels. I've been back down to 1. I'm at level 1. You realize I just said I'm an individual agent the last 2 years. That's called level 1 agent. And it's like, wait, he's been in business 30 years. He's master faculty and he's level 1. Yeah, I'm level 1. There's 7 levels and you can be at any level. I have been to 7 levels. I've stepped out of that role in my real estate team. I opened a market center. I was the team leader of our market center. I launched our market center. And back in the old days, Mary Beth may remember this, you couldn't sell. You could not compete with the agents in your office in the old days. So I had to walk away from my 100 sale a year business to become a team leader. That's called crazy, actually. But it's led to opportunities that led to being a MAPS coach, which was another business that I had. So while my real estate business is running, my market center team leader role is running, faculty business, coaching business. So all of those are businesses and I treat them like businesses, and I'm a system freak. Okay. I wrote a whole entire book on systems for your real estate business. It's all based around everybody here. It's based around MREA, because the systems that I built were MREA. And when Gary got the MREA book written, I'm telling you, 80-90% of that was the same systems. He gave it the real estate titles. I didn't know what it was called. I was just trying to automate as much as possible and make my life sane so I could enjoy life, because that is my number one priority. Notice here, I did just get a haircut, but I've got all my hair. There's no receding lines. It's really not that thin. I thought I like to thin it out. That camera would make it look pretty bad. I have all my hair. I have all my eyebrows haven't fallen out. I don't have wrinkles like I'm just like stressed out. It's enjoying life. And that's where I built everything around, was enjoying life. So let me come back, because I sometimes go a little crazy. That's why it's good to have manuals so we can like stay on track, right? Somewhat. But really, I do like this to be interactive. I like it to be real world. We've got the books. The content's all there. We need to relate it to where you are in your world. So what I'm telling you is everything that I built to enjoy life first, and the business and everything else to be automated. That's what I'm going to share with you over this whole entire course. Because what I figured out in the coaching world, and again, this is what I'm going to say, every one of those businesses that I mentioned, if I get into that world, it's about mastery, right? If I'm going to do that business, and I'll kind of give you my personal perspective on this, the way I looked at it is, if I built 5 businesses that generated $250,000 profit a year, 5 businesses that generate $250,000 net. So I already have my real estate business at $250,000 net or better, right? So if I build 5 businesses at $250,000 net, that's $1.25 million. If 1 or 2 of those businesses are sucking, or something would happen in that business that would cause it to crush or do whatever, I'm still going to net, hopefully around $1 million a year, which Gary's goal was to create. I think it's now 1,000 millionaires. Is that right? It used to be 100 million. No, it wasn't 100 million, was it, at the very beginning?
100 millionaires.
Might have been 100 millionaires, and now I know it's like 1,000 millionaires. That's his goal. So kind of everything that I talk about and everything I teach to is going to line up with exactly what you may have heard, or maybe you haven't heard it, to know that Gary is actually, his life mission is to create 1,000 millionaires. So there's 180,000 some agents in our company. Do you want to be one of the 1,000? Because that's what I focus on, is helping agents see these 100 deals a year. So back to what I was saying, coaching, what it allowed me to do when I took it to a mastery level is I study it. I study every business I'm in as if I am the creator or the speaker, going to sell a system, going to franchise it, whatever. I study it. So I studied coaching. Here's what I found out about real estate. And I want you guys to keep this in mind. This is kind of our filter for the rest of the sessions as we go through Ignite. The reason why I wanted to prove how many transactions one agent could do by themselves is because what I do know is that a real estate transaction, the whole thing, from the time you list the house market it, get the contract, get it closed, the amount of hours involved in that is 10 hours. 10 hours. So just write down a transaction runs about 10 hours. A buyer, from the time you pick up a buyer and start showing them houses, find them the house, write the contract and get it closed, is 10 hours. So now if you spent 10 hours showing a buyer 20 properties, that's not a good system. I'm telling you, with a good system, you will not have more than 10 hours involved in any one real estate transaction. Now, in that 10 hours is where we go from level one, and I shouldn't assume. Is there anybody that doesn't know the 7 levels, right, of the MREA? Level 1 is you're an individual agent. Level 2 is you're an agent with an assistant. And we also talk about in the MREA book, the 80-20 rule. 80% of what you do generates 20% of your results, which also means that 20% of what you're doing in your real estate business every day is generating 80% of your results. So if you're new to real estate, and even if you're not new, hearing this again over and over and over is repetition is what you need to hear. And sometimes you need to hear it differently. Marybeth just said at the very beginning, you know, you hear things differently as you're going through your real estate career. You're going to actually, the words will come to today or during this session today, but you might not hear them because you're not there yet. You're going to hear what you're supposed to hear at the level you are at right now. And you're going to hear what you're supposed to hear to move you to the next spot, so that when we say it again, like I'm probably the most annoying, repetitive instructor, because I had to hear it 12 times before I went, oh, I get it. 12 times. I must have read MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I've probably read it, I don't know, 50 times. Because I just say I'm a slow learner, you know, but really it's here's what I found out about books. And I know I'm bouncing around, so just hang out with me because we're just having a conversation. And if you see somebody jumping in with any kind of questions or anything, or want me to pause out and give more clarity, definitely just stop me, wave your hands, whatever. And that's, I'll get my setup here figured out later. Mm-hmm. But in the 80-20 rule, actually, where was I going with that? The repetition. Reading the book 12 times. Here's what I know about even this Ignite material. There is huge power in committing to take Ignite 12 times. Huge power, huge power. And the reason why Gary says take bold 12 times is because I learned this from Gary. The first time you read something, and the first time we go through this session together, I'm not even hoping. I know I'm going to get you excited about something in your business throughout this course, right? Mm-hmm. I know it's going to happen. That's the first time. The second time you go through the material, you're going to get re-excited about it again, because you're like, oh yeah, I was excited about that. That was cool. And then you're going to get re-excited about it. But nothing's really happened yet, usually. About the third and the fourth time you're hearing it is where I really want you to open up your mind, because right there you may be like, oh, I've heard that before. 80-20 rule, right? I just talked about the 80-20 rule. I've heard that before, Before you shut your mind down, like even tune in more, because the third, fourth, fifth time you hear it is when it's really starting to speak to you. And the sixth time that you hear it is when it starts to show up as something. I'll give you an example, give you some real world stuff here. Write this down, pages 133 through 148. And that is of the MREA book, page 133 through 148. Just to kind of see if you guys are paying attention and how many people respond, type in how many pages that is. Get your calculators out. 148 minus 133 is how many?
15.
15.
Right. So post it in there. Yeah, we got people are playing along. All right. 15 pages. Can you guys read 15 pages? I mean, if you look at the MREA book, and I love just being real. Oh, I may have had it out. Where's my book? Oh, here it is. I had it out talking to somebody else about it. First time I get this book, Gary says, read this book 12 times. I'm like, I don't even like to read books. Okay, I'm a coach and I don't like to read books. I don't. I'd rather listen to them. Read that 12 times. No. Can you read 15 pages once?
Yes.
Right? Put a sticky note on page 133. Put a sticky note on page 148, 133, 148, right? And just read 15 pages. Go back to 133 and put a tally mark. You read it once. Read it again. Put a tally mark. Read it again. Put a tally mark. Read those 15 pages 12 times, right? Because those pages talk about 8x8 and 33 touch, and it's your database. And I kind of talked to Marybeth about this. What gets me excited about teaching and even doing this at this level, when I could just go sell another house, is because I can go sell 60 houses by myself with a very lazy real estate life and a very fun personal life. By the way, there are probably about 30 deals that I've tracked in both years that they were in my database. They were internet leads that just were not playing the game the way I wanted to play the game. But if I had put in just a little extra effort, there's 30 deals I would have closed. They bought houses. They were in my database. I just wasn't really willing to chase them or go show them 10 properties to help them buy one. You guys get that? So the 100 deals are there. The choice was I got to do 67 of the really easy ones that fell out of the sky and move to the lake, go out on the water, do my little twisty turn on the thing on the water. We have a Super Bowl win in Kansas City, 2 Super Bowls in a row. We lost one of them, unfortunately. And I had to wear the other guy's jersey for a while. I think it's up in your guys' area, right? You might know that guy. Anyway, the old Brady jersey. But I've lived life doing those 67 deals, and real estate did not control me. So I jokingly say I'm probably one of the laziest, most successful realtors in Kansas City, because life comes first, real estate comes second, and the systems are what carry that business to do those deals. And I will tell you, I don't brag that to a lot of people, but we're all going to get to know each other really well during this session, because I need to learn who you are. You are getting to find out a little bit about me and how I can share this information with you. But there is no leverage. There's no leverage if you're by yourself. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Don't get all excited if you're new and you're like, I didn't want to build a big team anyway, so I like this guy, man, 67 deals, solo agent. Now, there are times where I actually would rather just sit down and do nothing, and I got to go show a house. Not often. I do control a lot of it, but if somebody's dream home is on the market and it hits today and they got to see it before it goes under contract with 12 other offers, I got to go show it or they're going to miss out. So it's more about them than it is me. But anyway, so that's kind of what we're working towards through this Ignite class. I will tell you, my mission is to inspire you to do 100 transactions in your market, because what you guys will do with 100 transactions in your market, it's not about the volume. It's not about the commission dollars you'll make. It's that every transaction takes about 10 hours, right? Track it. If you find out something different or you've heard something differently, let me know. Because if you don't believe that, then everything I say is not going to matter and you're going to get stuck in your world. But I'm telling you, after coaching thousands of top agents, it's about 10 hours. Okay. Some people will take a little longer, some people not. And a lot of people in real estate say, well, no one real estate transaction's alike. Guys, no one Starbucks customer is alike. Think about this for a minute. How many different ways does everybody, in fact, in your chat menu, type in, especially if you like one like me, I got the triple venti white mocha, type in what you order at Starbucks. Let's look at all the different types of Starbucks coffees, how you order it. I mean, it's okay. Whoa, somebody's got a venti cap. That's easy. Venti ice skinny hazelnut latte. Yeah, all right. Think about this for a minute. Just keep typing them in. I want to see them all. The thing is that they get us in and out through that line pretty dang fast, right? And I'm talking about not on the days where, you know, something shuts down or they have problems or they ran out of something, whatever. For the most part, you know, you can get in and out of Starbucks pretty quick. That's why you keep going there. Look at these orders. Like, who the heck, talk about special ordering. Oh my gosh. Yet every single time you get really the same coffee every single time. Guys, here's the thing. Here's the myth about real estate, myth.
Oh, Debbie Serino used the line though, coffee's for closers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, guys, jump in anytime, right? You can unmute yourself and jump in. I don't think you guys are mass locked out or anything.
No.
You can control a real estate transaction. Do not buy for 1 second that this client's going to take longer and they're going to take 20 hours and they're going to take 30 hours. And I've got an out of town relocation client that I've got to devote my entire Saturday to from 8 a.m. when their plane lands until they go home at 10 p.m. and we have to find them a house and we have to look at 80 houses. Guys, I have a system and I've asked every single client just 2 weekends ago, referral from San Antonio comes into Kansas City. My system is, guys, trust me, I want you to enjoy this process. I want buying a house to be fun. I want you to enjoy Kansas City. They're about to move here. So here's how we're going to do this to make sure that happens. You guys are going to land on that plane at 2 o'clock on Friday. I'm going to send you a list of the properties that you liked on MLS with it mapped out from the airport down to wherever your hotel is or around the city. And I just want you to spend Friday afternoon driving by this map. Okay, these are the houses they like that they want to go see. I said, what I can guarantee you after selling 2,500 homes for 30 years, you will not want to see half of these homes when you drive by them, right?
So smart.
So you're going to drive by them, but you get to familiarize yourself with Kansas City. You get to just relax a little bit after the plane ride. Tonight, you're going to email me the ones that you want to see, and tomorrow we'll go look at those, right? Tomorrow we'll go look at those, and I know when I show them those, they're buying a house. And then they're going to have the rest of the afternoon to go try out some Kansas City restaurants, go to a museum, do all that kind of stuff. That's my system, right? So those people land. They have 34 houses on their map. The next morning, can you guys see my fingers? 3 houses is all I showed them. And they bought one.
Mm-hmm.
3 houses is all I showed them. I was gone. I have an hour and a half invested in a relocation. Now, this is even better because I said, so what did you think of the process? And she was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were punking us at first. I thought when you said we had to drive by the properties, like, is this guy for real? Did she really know she was referring us to this guy? And she goes, but when we did that process, oh my gosh, it's made everything so much easier. We found the home in the neighborhood we love, and we loved it. It was awesome. We thought we were getting punked at first, but this is like ultimate experience. Guys, I have an hour and a half, 2 hours invested in that so far, right? So that's why I'm saying 10 hours is for real.
Right.
Now, let me bring that to reality because we're going to set the stage for where we are today and how this Ignite is going to take us somewhere totally different. In fact, whenever you hear like in bold, we always hear what the average agent sells. Like when you take bold, you average 17 transactions. Guys, that is the fall out of the sky. Those are the trees that had an apple falling and they fell over while the apple was falling and it was easy business. Oh, I didn't put my do not disturbs on. Welcome to my war room. This is where the whole thing runs. Everything got conference tables, couches, cameras everywhere. This is the war room. So anyway, I got them on do not disturb now, so I'm here with you. So the thing that what was I just saying before I got distracted?
You're 2 hours in.
The 2 hour what?
You're 2 hours in.
To the transaction.
The
Oh, yeah,
transaction.
yeah. So the transactions. Okay, so here's real world. For an agent that is closing 1 to 2 deals a month, how many hours did I just say we spend on a transaction?
10.
10.
Okay, if you're new and you're doing 2 deals a month, are you wondering what the you're running around like your hair's on fire, like your pants are on fire, you're flying around, you're like, how am I ever going to get this organized? I need a team of people to help me do this. You got 20 hours, but something else is happening to cause all this chaos, and it's called not having a system, one, and you don't know what the system is that you need to have yet if you're new. Even now, let me just kind of share this with the new people. There are people that have been in business for 30 or 40 years that are doing 2 and 3 deals a month, and they're still running around like their hair's on fire, right? So it doesn't get any better. And you also find out that you're always looking for the next deal, always looking for the next deal. A lot of classes are set around to teach us to go get the next deal, get the next deal, get the next deal. The pipeline only gets built up over time. So after you've been in real estate forever and you have now a book of business, that you get this little pipeline when they start coming back through. I cannot tell you how many real estate agents that have been in business for 30 years have 300 people in their database. Lived in a market for 20, 30 years, selling houses for 30 years. Now, this is a typical agent in your competition where you are, but they might even be closer than you think, right? 20, 30 years in a marketplace selling real estate, and they have 300 or 400 people in their database. And what they've done is they've kept a database of people they sold a house to.
Right.
Guys, you have people all around you in your community that you're bumping into that are moving every single year. I'm going to share that number with you in a minute. But they are moving every single, what's your market? Is everybody moving every 5 years or 7 years or 10 years? What do we think the actual real number is in your market for all you guys? Type it in. Actually, let's type it in and just watch it. Is everybody moving every 5 years? Is everybody moving every 7 years? Everybody moving every 10 years? Or is it something different?
Yeah, and I think you're gonna see a big difference. Like in here, Brad, like a lot of people will stay in Jersey, so they'll be in the townhouse and they go to the single family, then they go to the next house and they go to the retirement house. So we are seeing probably around 7 years, I would think is a good number to say.
Yeah.
But with COVID, it may have elongated that, and for some, it may have shortened it.
Exactly. And as prices get out of control, are you guys still experiencing the, well, I don't know if in your market, our market, it's 10 and 20 and 30,000 over asking price, but in bigger markets, it can be 50 to $100,000 over asking price. Are you guys experiencing that?
Yep, we are still experiencing that.
So let's look, and we're seeing like 7, 10, 10, don't see any 5. You're going to see the 5 start to come back. Has it been 5 in the past? When the market was good, did everybody move every 5 or did they stay about every 7 to 10?
7 to 10.
Okay. So we're going to even go with the 10-year number just because that's even easier. That means if they're moving every 7 years and you put 7, then your number is going to be inflated from any numbers that I share. Okay. But if the 10 will be our baseline. So if you lived in a community for 20 or 30 years, do you think there's a chance you might know or bumped into or met somewhere over those 20 or 30 years? Think of yourself, even 10 years or 5 years. You think there's any chance you probably met at least 700 people in that community?
Yeah.
700 people in that community, right? I mean, that's if you met a person or two. If you met 5 people a week, that's 20 people a month in your community. 5 people a week. That's if you just went to Quick Trip and talked to the person you paid your gas to, and you know, so you're talking 20 people a week times 50 weeks or 52 weeks. Unless you're going on vacation, you might be actually out of your marketplace for 2 weeks, but 50 weeks, what is that? 20 times 50 is 1,000 people. Is that right? Is my math right?
Yes, 20 times 50, 1,000 people.
1,000 people. So if those 1,000 people that you met, only meeting 5 people a week in your community, are moving every 10 years, how many deals is that?
1,000 deals
100.
in 10 years.
100 deals in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say it again. You meet 5 people a week times 50 weeks, right? That's 1,000 people, correct? 5 people a week, 4 weeks is 20 people a month, 12 months. Yeah, it's 1,000 people. If they're moving every 10 years, these 1,000 people that you just met this year, 100 of them are moving this year. 100 of them are moving this year. It's just a matter of, did you keep in touch with the 1,000 regularly so that you got all 100 of them, right? Now wait, next year you do the same thing. You meet another 1,000 people in your marketplace. Now 100 people of them are moving that year, right? This is like dumb math for real estate, but it's not, you got to follow it because it's real. These are real numbers. So 100 of those people are moving. But you know what else is happening? The 1,000 people that you bumped into last year and 100 people moved last year and you missed those deals. Well, the good news is the next 100 are moving this year. 2 years of living in your community, bumping into 2,000 people, you have the opportunity for 200 transactions. Like, you can't even make this up. How can not every single agent be selling 100 homes a year, right? 67 homes a year. Do you know how much business I miss? I mean, it's sick, right? It's sick. So there's 100 deals a year. Let's go 3 years. The last 3 years you've been in real estate, if you've been in real estate 3 years or more, you actually have 300 people who have met you that are moving this year. And somehow some of us might be struggling at 2 sales a month or 3 sales a month or 4 sales a month. Heck, let's take it to the next level. If you're selling 5 houses a month, you're a pretty successful realtor. You're making some jack in your guys' market, right?
Yes.
5 houses a month is 50 hours. 10 hours per transaction is 50 hours of actual real work on those transactions that are bringing money into your account. Wait, I said 50 hours a month. You may have heard me say 50 hours a week, and you feel like you're working 50 to 60 hours a week as this crazy realtor trying to find the next deal, find the next deal, find the next deal, right? No, 50 hours a month. That's 12 and a half hours a week. What the heck? Where is my time going?
Right.
So the modules, am I going at an okay pace, Marybeth? I mean, is this good? You think?
Oh, absolutely. I just
guys
think
do
people
this.
are being pensive because you're hitting some points here. There's a lot of missed opportunities in our database and in our everyday lead generating that I think you're poking holes in. But I just put in here, if they got questions, let's throw them out and raise a hand.
Yeah, start just typing in. Let us know you have a question. We can unmute you. But so here's the next piece I want to bring to that. So here's what I said earlier. The 80-20 rule. Any of you have heard it before? Heard it. You heard me say 80% is 20% of your results. 20% is 80% of your results, right? You heard that. Have you heard it this way? 80% of what you did yesterday in your real estate business generated 20% of your income. Let me say it again, only differently. 20% of what you did yesterday generated 80% of your income. Now, what was your income? What is your income in real estate? 80% of that came from 20% of what you're doing every single day. Here's the fun part. If you don't like your number, if your number's not really where you like it to be, or I'm even going to challenge you this, if it's good, because I just had a coaching call, $350,000 a year is a pretty good lifestyle, you know. So what do you want your business to look like? It's like, well, I don't want to be busier. I mean, my life's pretty good. You know, one time I was sitting in one of Gary Keller's breakouts and he said something that hit me like right upside the head. Bam, just 2x4 right upside the head. I'm sitting in the room. top producers in the whole company, all my friends too, but sitting in there and life is good. Maps coach, got clients going. The business is cranking, 100 sales a year. Expenses are under control. And he goes, you guys are in this room because you don't get comfortable. You guys are in this room with me because you don't get comfortable.
Mhm.
And I went, oh crap. I got comfortable. I was way comfortable, right? And that day also changed and set up for my future too. And I'll give you guys a little background on where I'm coming from. Wow, it's already like, well, it's 10:42 where I am, 11:42 in your time.
Yeah,
What do we run to?
12 o'clock.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, and this was really just to kind of I want to get you guys excited about this Ignite class, because what I'm bringing is helping you all, like I'm personally committed to see you all do 100 sales a year. Now we got to ramp that plane up. It's got, you got to take 60% of the energy to get that plane off the ground and get it into the air. And then it doesn't require a lot of energy to keep it going, but it also kind of takes a little while. So let me just tell you the background on where that came from is that day having Tony DeCello, Diana Kokoska, Gary Keller, these guys kind of just keep nudging. They really kind of nudge when you're not in coaching. Your coach may push you a little bit, but that pushed me out of my comfort zone that day. And it made me go back and relook at anything and figure out I need to increase 100% every single year. See, when I first got into real estate, the first 3 years, I didn't do anything. The next 3 years, when I started paying attention, going to classes and implementing and putting into action the stuff that I was learning, I doubled my business every single year for 8 years in a row. So envision 1 million in sales to 2 million in sales. And these are little Missouri numbers. You guys might even come out of the chute at 3 million in your market. I don't know. So
Yeah.
1 million to 2 million, 2 million to 4 million the second year. So let me back up. First 3 years I was in Minnesota, moved back to Kansas City, basically started out ground zero, no database, no people. I had to recreate all my relationships because I didn't know anybody in Minnesota and I just got into real estate. So I knew enough about real estate now that my confidence level was a little higher, but I had to start ground zero with relationships and database and finding FSBOs and expired. So I've done it all to build my business. So that very first year in real estate, zero, one goose egg, no sales closed in my first year. Now with technology and everything we do at KW, there's no reason to do zero. But back then I didn't have all this stuff. The second year I did 1 million. The third year I did 2 million. The next year I did 4 million. The next year I did 8 million. The next year I did 11.2 million, because when Gary talks about setting big goals, it pulls you through all your smaller goals faster. Guys, if I would have set my goal at 1 million or 2 million, I wouldn't have probably hit 2 million, right? But the top agent at that time, when I came to Kansas City, at that time sold 40 million in real estate. Now we're talking 25 years ago, was 40 million. So I set my goal at 40 million. I thought, well, if they're doing 40 million, I guess somebody knows how to do it. So I'm setting my goal at 40 million. I did 1 million. Whoa, man, I missed my goal. But what it did is it pulled me to 2 and it pulled me to 4 and it pulled me to 8. And then what really happened in the MREA book, he talks about as your goals become realized, some natural force likes to slow us down. It's called the comfort level, right? So I was pretty comfortable at 11 million. And that was the problem. So like the 40 million was still the goal, but as your goal becomes realized, you kind of start to slow down. And the second part is Jay said this at somewhere, it's easier to build a business up to 30, 40, 50 sales in any market. You can do that all day long. Getting that from 60, 70 sales a year to 120 to 200 to 300 takes a lot more work because you're going to have leverage at some point. So my last year or two was to prove where that baseline is with a great system, not a people business, but a system business. That's the reason why I put myself through this. I can't even call it torture, guys. I mean, it's been a great couple of years. The profit is so amazing. Like I have done so many cool things. I have more money in my bank account than I've ever had, but I cannot stay here because I'm going to come back now to what I learned from Gary that day when he said, are you comfortable? by pushing me out of that comfort zone and setting those systems up even stronger. In 2015, my wife then of 20 years that ran my team, and Marybeth knows Sonia, met Sonia. She got in a car accident, got spun around on the highway over by the Royal Stadium, Chief Stadium, took a head-on collision. She survived. The car helped her stay alive, but the dash like pushed her leg back through her femur and all that stuff. So she had to have all this hip surgery. So we got through all that. Hip surgery was about a 12-week recovery on crutches, which that literally pulled her out of our business. And she was on crutches for 12 weeks. Last thing I wanted her to do was be 80 years old. And because we cut the 12 weeks short, she was hobbling around, you know, sore all the time. How many old people do you know that limp and hobble and they're sore? More than we know that are healthy and clean and lots of energy, right? So especially after a hip surgery, that was my focus, was to make sure that her later life was going to be good. So that's 12-week recovery. 2 weeks after she's off crutches, we're kind of bringing her back in. And I don't even know what it's like to experience a head-on collision. It definitely messes with your mind and getting behind a wheel again. And there's just a lot of stuff that goes on in any person's mind, right? So 2 weeks after the crash, she's plugging back in. We're kind of getting her back into work, and we bought cars and all that stuff. 2 weeks after, off crutches, she just doesn't wake up one day. She is literally in bed snoring. She's had trouble sleeping for the whole 12 week or now 14 weeks. Trouble sleeping. So one morning she is snoring like a trucker. I mean, that girl is in a deep sleep, but it's 7 a.m., 8 a.m., which isn't out of normal, right? All of a sudden 9 and 10 a.m. roll around. She's still just laying there sleeping, snoring like crazy, no pauses, no nothing. So I'm like, okay. 10:30, my daughter comes down and says, Sonia's still sleeping? And it's like, yeah, we probably better wake her up, you know, and see what's going on. She didn't respond. She just kept snoring away and laying there. So we called 911, and they lost her for 4 minutes in the ambulance ride to the hospital and got her back. And then when they got her in the ER, they lost her for another 4 minutes and got her back. In fact, that's one thing you don't ever do as a doctor, is walk into the emergency room and look at the family, all their daughters sitting around, and go, well, you guys know we lost her, right? And we're like, what? Well, everybody's bawling, screaming, everything. No, we lost her for 4 minutes. We got her back. And it's like, what? You freaking idiot. Anyway, those 8 minutes put her into a coma. They had to do an induced coma to stop the brain seizures and everything else that was happening. So her brain died that day. Part of her brain died that day. And she was in a coma for 5 months. So that 5 months, I did what Gary Keller, I mean, guys, listen to Gary. He teaches you so much, way beyond. He mentioned once that he took his son, John, he wanted to take him fly fishing, wanted to teach him fly fishing. And by the way, we're going to wrap this up in about 2 or 3 minutes and make sure we have any questions and kind of go over the next structure. But so he wanted to teach John fly fishing. Where did he do? He took him to Colorado, up in the mountains, some backwoods somewhere in some river that I don't even know how anybody would find this guy, but he was the ultimate fly fisherman. This is what he's done his whole life. He's a master fly fisherman. And Gary said that's who I wanted him to learn fly fishing from. So I started asking the doctors, where would you take your wife if there was a brain injury? You know, so we're in a little hospital here in Kansas City. Where would you take your wife? Where would you take your wife? And they all said, Madonna, 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 Madonna. Now, they also told me that anoxic brain injury is not recoverable. I mean, it's not like somebody, when you have brain injury, you fall on your head or somebody hits their head and goes into a coma. The brain didn't die. It's still got oxygen. So the injury needs to heal and they can get people back. That's what they were known for. But I was like, well, if they're the best at that, then maybe they can figure out a way to make this anoxic brain injury come back, you know? So we took her there, and I was in Lincoln, Nebraska, 3 hours away from Kansas City. I'm the only listing guy on my team. At this time, I have one assistant and one buyer's agent who had just joined our team, was brand new, okay? Well, she wasn't brand new in real estate. She sold for us 7 years prior and then went and made a family, and then she came back into real estate. So she was kind of like the mom coming back. Sorry, Mary Beth. Yeah, Sonia was pretty crazy. Now, I'm going to tell you something about comfort zone at the end of this story too, so you can make those tears go away. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point, guys, but I'll make my point there. Anyway, so I took her to Madonna. I was 3 hours away every day, came back one night a week, came back, did a listing appointments that night that got booked, and in the morning, and I was back to Lincoln trying to get her awake, right? And my daughter's still here going to high school. That year, we sold 97 properties with 3 people. Well, really 2, because I wasn't here. I just came back and did my listing appointments, and then the system took over from there. These girls didn't even know my system yet, and the system ran the business. The system did the 97 sales. They just did what the system was telling them to do every day. I wasn't even here, get them to-do lists. I did not call them every day and check on them to see if they got this done and that done. The system was telling us all what to do. So we did 97 homes that year, and that led to writing the book, E-Myth Real Estate Agent with Michael Gerber. Now, let me tell you something that, again, to kind of cap this story off and open it up for questions, because I had systems running and realized that I never once thought about, how am I paying my house bill? How am I paying my cars? I had one kid in college at Mizzou, University of Missouri. I never once thought about that during that whole 5 months. It just got done. And when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, that is crazy. Here's the other thing the systems did, is that by November of 2015 is when we finally had the toughest decision of all, to say, we've really kind of connected all the dots, all these exciting little things happening, feet moving, eyes fluttering, all this stuff, like, oh, we're getting her back. She was never there. She never did the same thing twice. She was not there. I mean, when somebody says vegetable, that was my wife, So her body was breathing on its own. She's not on a breathing tube. She's not on a breathing machine. There's not a switch to turn off. It's the decision that she's not coming back, and this is not how she would want to live. And this is the way she would want it, because Marybeth knows her, man. Hug, kisses. I mean, we called her smooches. She would smooch the heck out of everybody the second she saw you. And she wouldn't want to live not knowing who people were or anything like that. And so all the kids agreed that we just had to let her go. So November 4th of 2015, we let her go. All I wanted to do was, this is my wife of 20 years, ran my team. All I wanted to do is go home, curl up in a ball like everybody would want to do if you lost a spouse. That MAPS brain, I had to call thousands of times. It's like, your kids are sick. The bills are still going to come next month. What do you have in place to make sure you at least get a sale this week while you're tending to your child, to make sure your bills get paid? Because most people just shut down and they take care of that situation and no business is coming in. So fortunately, we have all, our KW cares and all that stuff, and that helps, but none of us want to have to use it. And I remember Diana calling me. This was a big deal. And I was like, Diana, somebody else probably needs that money more than me. I don't need it. My business is covering everything, and I appreciate it so much, but I was able to give that back to somebody else who really did need it. I want you all to be in a position after Ignite that you got systems in place that just predict your business and tell you where it's going to go. So the final point on that is, it allows you to live life. Right. So all I heard was my coach brain saying, get up off the couch. You have a kid in college. You have to keep this thing going. And if you don't, your clients are going to end up with some bozo. They're going to have a bad experience. Plus, this system, they're calling me. I can't turn it off. They're calling me when they're ready, not me finding new business. It's not a lead generation model where I have to go generate leads. It's a lead receive model where all the generation that I do is more of a cultivation, and then I just receive leads. My phone, I created a course called Make the Phone Ring Again, right? Remember that, Marybeth? The fast track course at MAPS, Make the Phone Ring Again. The phone just rings. I'm going to do 100 deals a year forever, right? Now I can choose to be lazy and get 67 of them, or I could choose to expand and get 120 of them. But I'm going to do 100 deals a year. Every single year are going to come through my phone system for sure. What that allowed me to do was not miss the biggest opportunity. And that is not to spend life miserably and just missing Sonia. I will always miss Sonia. Sonia was like the best human being on the planet. But I met my current wife because I didn't curl up in a ball and stay home. And I would have missed her. I mean, I only had this small window of opportunity that we got to be friends and hang out, and then found out she actually thought I was cute. And then I realized, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. And I wasn't even thinking about it, right? Because I
So
wasn't.
that's a keeper for you.
Guys, this is the life Sonia wanted us all to have. And the blended family, my kids are like, you would think these guys have been siblings their whole lives. They are all so perfect and awesome together. It is unbelievable. I got more fun stories to share on that, but I want to stop just in this last few minutes and just see if there's any questions about anything. I mean, obviously you understand the power of Ignite. However, you know, our calls are going to, in that hour, are going to be really structured around what do I do with this material? You know, quick overview of what the material is. If you don't know what the material is, I'm going to be personally available for every single one of you, because I have a system for following up and keeping in touch with you, with every single one of you. So we can give the level that everybody needs. And if it's material you've heard before, guys, if you know anybody in the office that's been in that office for years, they need to be on this call, because they're going to hear it differently than they've ever heard before. And we're not going to, I mean, I could read the material out of this and I'm not going to help you master it on I don't care if it's an hour call or a 3-hour call. It's what you're going to do with the conversation that we have during this hour between now and the next call. And what are you going to actually get in place and be on purpose about? So I will help you develop that habit to implement the Ignite material and actually do it, and then build on it every single week to where we're building the system that churns out this business for you. So do we need the Ignite manual, and where do we access it? So that everybody's going to get that link. Go ahead.
Yep, that's perfect. So we've set up a drive. Number one is you all have the ability to get the stuff from KW Connect, kwconnect.com. You just type in Ignite 2.0 and you'll see that there's materials. However, what Jason is going to do on our assistant is from this call, and if you want to just go ahead and put your email in the chat right now, it'll be a little bit easier. We'll also export the roster of who showed up on the call, but we're going to make this Google Drive available to you easily. So any of the stuff that we're talking about, Brad just mentioned, you know, page 273 in your red book. So we're going to put some of those things in the file. So you're going to want to save that Google Drive, open up that Google Drive when we share that with you.
All right. And so I will also say, here's part of my systems whenever I'm teaching and coaching. It's really more about the results that I'm focused on. So the material that we cover will be driven towards getting you to implement it and getting out of that why it's not happening, and really making it so stupid simple that you guys have to implement it, or you were gone. You were out of the office from one class to the next. So the other part of that I want to say is, I know we're also busy, and right now your businesses may not be systematized and may seem like they're out of control and may seem like you're in reactive mode. Oh wait, I think I just talked to just about everybody on the call. Your business is out of control, it's on fire. And that's the cool thing about our business, is it's different every day, so you can't get bored. But and the other news I'm going to tell you is, I'm not going to make the chaos go away. The chaos will always be in our business. I have just as much chaos as you do. What's different is the layered system in front of it that makes sure the stuff that has to get done gets done first, which we always hear about lead generation and all that stuff. So my database, my relationships, all that stuff happens first. And then I spend 6 hours a day dealing with chaos. But I can go into it and I can clear the chaos out quicker, because my mind is at ease from all the other stuff. So every day that you're not lead generating, it's like, I didn't find any new business. What am I going to do next month? That you can't solve the problems, the chaos that's happening when you're worried about next month. So we're going to eliminate that with systems, so you can deal with the actual chaos quicker, faster, and make better decisions. So we're in for a fun ride, guys, and
yep.
I know we're all going to get to know each other a lot better over this time. My goal is that we have 100% of you from today's call to the last call, because 80% of the people are usually gone by the third or fourth call. This class is going to be different. We're going to show Keller Williams something that's never been done with Ignite before, because you're going to be able to relate to it and take it back and implement it. So I'm excited.
What is the time frame on this? I kind of just jumped on from a email.
It's right in the chat. So it's Monday and Wednesday, 11 to 12. Brad, are we talking about sliding it a bit on Friday?
If we can move it up a half an hour at least, that would be great. Yep.
Okay. So
And if we need to
11:30.
move it, if it's easier for everybody to make it 10:30 to 11:30 every day, that's fine as well. You know,
Probably not, but we'll talk about it.
yeah.
Let's get back on. So Wednesday it's at 11 o'clock. Wednesday 11 to 12, and just be there. We'll get you the drive. We'll get you your materials, and I believe that if you truly implement and use the systems that we're talking about, your business will be on track to yield you 100 transactions a year.
How many weeks is this for?
As far as weeks, it's probably going to run at like 5 or so. The rest of the summer.
Yeah, there's actually 10 modules, so it just depends on how it flows.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, will we get a recording? I know there's 2 days that I cannot make it.
Yep. So we are recording right now, and we're also live on the BCP group.
Okay, thank you.
But I gotta just tell you, so those of you who just heard me say that, if you're not in the class and implementing, then you're not going to be able to receive really the fruits of what we're talking about in systems. So definitely watch and then implement it. All right, we have a hard stop because we have a meeting, guys. Brad, thank you so much. Guys, give some love, give some claps. We love it. We'll see him back on Wednesday at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Great class.